Are you applying to hundreds of jobs and not hearing back? What is that? That's crickets. That's the sound of crickets. You're applying hundreds of jobs, doing online applications, applying on their websites, even sending them in snail mail, and still you're not hearing back from anyone. Are you confused on how to stand out in the sea of applicants? You're applying with 100, 500, 1,000 people. So how do you stand out when you're applying to these organizations right now in these times? Well, there's a lot of tips and tricks that you can hear and learn about. And so today I decided to bring on a special guest, Alan of Phoenix Staff, and he's going to share his tips and tricks on how you can stand out as a job applicant. Hi, everyone. I'm Mary Fain-Brandt, Chief Inspiration Officer of the LinkedIn Bakery. And I'm very excited to bring you, this is the third episode in my 4-part job seeker series. You see, I wanted to help the community of job seekers out there. We're going through a lot right now. People are unemployed, furloughed. Whole companies have closed down. So even if you were furloughed or unemployed, you can't even go back to the same job you had. What are you supposed to do right now during these times? Well, in this series, we're talking to experts, and we're talking about personal branding, resumes, and the ATS system. That's the applicant tracking system, and how to get your resume through that, and what recruiters are looking for and what they just don't care about. Now, you guys know that I serve 2 communities, my business owners and entrepreneurs and my job seekers. So if you are a business owner or an entrepreneur watching, I would just really like to ask you to please hit the share button right there and share this out with your audience, because we all know someone who has been affected by the pandemic. They've been laid off. They've been furloughed. Their industry is plummeting, like hospitality and restaurant, and they're seriously considering a career change. Let's help them out by sharing this and all the other episodes in my series, so we can inspire and give them hope. Thank you for doing that. So today's guest, Alan of Phoenix Staff, is going to be coming on, and he's going to be talking about 3 things: communicating effectively, networking, and the 80-20 rule, using LinkedIn and other tools to help you succeed in your job search. So let me bring Alan on. Good morning, Alan. You're live. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm great, Mary. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for taking the time and joining me to support our job seeking community right now, because they're in turmoil. Like, we've never gone through this. As you and I were talking before the show, none of us have ever gone through this. And I think that we have a responsibility to share information and to collaborate and to come together as a community, whether it's online or in person. Right now it's online, you guys, because we can't do in person, but to come together then online through interviews and through live series and webinars, and really share information that can help inspire and give hope to our job seeking community, right?
No doubt about it. Yeah, I've never seen people come together like we are right now. It's very positive and pretty overwhelming, actually, to see the outpouring of support people are
right. Giving. I love how everyone has come together, and you're right. This could have gone one of 2 ways, right? Being isolated, being told you can't leave your house, you've got to cover up when you go outside. And then spring and summer, right, is here, and we all want to be outside. And in San Diego, people want to be on the water, and thank God they opened the water, so the surfers are like loving it. Surfers and kayakers and paddleboarders. But it could have gone a different way, where we fought with each other and where riots happened. And like you said, I'm really thankful that we're taking the high road and we're coming together as we do. And we're working together across cities, across states, across nations, and just doing what we need to do so we can get through this and come out better on the other side, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for joining me. Why don't you tell everybody about how you got started in recruiting, like what your career path was,
Sure.
What you love about it, and a little bit about your own agency.
Sure. So yeah, I started Phoenix Staff in 2002. but I actually started in the recruiting industry back in 1999. I went to work for a large global Fortune 500 company at that time. I don't know where they sit today on the Fortune list, but I was working retail at the time, and working in retail gave me visibility to the fact that I could have a staff of 54 people were in my store. I worked at a PetSmart, and hiring and promoting people became one of my favorite things to do. So just hiring a person as a a checker or a cashier or whatever they were, and then promoting them up through the ranks to be a key holder or a manager or manager of a specific department became something that I just really wanted to lock into and find something that would allow me to do that every single day of my life. And recruiting has afforded me that opportunity. So it really hinged for me on the ability to talk to people about where they were in their career and their lives right now, and where they wanted to be. So just helping them find that path and helping them navigate those waters, as it were.
I love that. So obviously you have in your heart is to serve people and help them be the best version of them, right? Because it'll be their best version of them in their career. I get that because I'm a career coach, and I love working with someone and going through all the work that's needed sometimes of what is the right career path. And looking at, let's not just find a job. So when I tell people, I'm like, if you're just looking for a job, you can go do that by yourself. You'll apply, you'll find one. But if you're really looking for a new career or a different career path, that's when you work with a coach to really hone in on that. So I am trying to, if you guys see me look this way, I am trying to find our show on LinkedIn so I can get the comments. And it seems that LinkedIn is acting up, but I'm pretty sure it's live over there. I know that we're live over on Facebook. So, Alan, so there's so much going on right now. And I know that we have 3 hot topics that we're going to talk about. Is there anything right off the bat, let's talk about your industry right now. And what are some tips and trends going on in recruiting? What is hot right now? What, are you guys busier than ever? Or are you slower? Because I think the general consensus in the world right now is that nobody's hiring.
Yeah.
Don't apply, because nobody's hiring, right?
Right. Yeah, and that's definitely a mistake. To assume that nobody's hiring is wrong. I cannot say that we are busier than ever. What I can say is that we are busy. Now we've done a number of things, as have a lot of other companies in different sectors, different industries around the globe, for that matter, have done things that are different. And I think that's what, as candidates, people need to do as well. I mean, you need to approach your job search differently than you have in the past. And you also, what we're finding in our industry is that people are coming together. So within our industry, it's kind of commonplace that we take a competitive stance with one another. And what this has afforded us the opportunity to do is really collaborate with one another, share what we're doing, share how we're trying to help people. And as we get that message out, we're putting ultimately more people to work. And that's what this is all about. So doing things differently, I would say everyone applies to job postings, and that's all well and good, and you should continue to do that. But if there are companies that you've always wanted to work for in your area,
yes,
or if there are places that you look at and say, wow, it would be wonderful to work for that organization, you should apply, even if there's not a posting for a job, even if there's not a role that you see on their website, because that is doing things differently. And if those companies, I know a ton of companies, and I'm sure you do, Mary, that you do as well, Mary, that have pulled postings, have said, we're on a hiring freeze right now. We're going to remove all the job postings that we have.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean they're not going to ultimately hire people. I mean, if anything, that just means they're taking a pause and they're going to need people in the future.
So that's a great tip. Companies are taking a pause, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't apply. And I love what you said, because this is how I work with my clients. I am always like, I want you to look for 5 organizations that you would like to work at, right? Even if they don't have a position advertised or the right position for you, And then we talk about why they want to work there. Like, oh, they have a philanthropy, they give back, they do community work, or, I like their mission statement. I've heard great things. So why do you want to work there? That's okay. We're all used to, I know you're trying to get rid of that. I had that last week, right? I had that last week on me because a blind had broken. I think that we're all used to that. Hey, you guys, this is live. It's not perfect, right? And that's kind of what makes us fun too when you're going live, because it isn't perfect. So I wanted to give a shout out to a couple people that joined us. I got LinkedIn up over here. So we have Jeremiah Johnson and Ramon over here. We're getting some high fives and some, how you doing? So you gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning. If you guys have any questions for Alan or I, you can go ahead and put that over on LinkedIn. Or if you're watching on Facebook, you can put it on Facebook. I can see those comments here, and we'll make sure to answer those. So I think it's really important that you guys should still be applying. Or I like to tell people, take this time to really establish your personal brand, get your LinkedIn profile right, get a new resume, and network, network, network. So let's talk about that. Let's lead into networking. So Alan, what is your advice for the job seeking community right now on networking?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing, Mary, is that people need to be very specific about what it is they need. So if you're looking for an opportunity right now, if you're furloughed, if you're out there, actively searching, you really need to be very specific about what it is you're looking for that person who you're trying to connect with, what they can do or who they can introduce you to, or in what way you're hoping they can help. So if you just say, I'd love to connect with you, or I'm looking for a job, that is not specific enough. You need to say, I see you're connected to Mary. I would really love an introduction to Mary, or Mary has a posting, or XYZ company has a posting. Do you happen to know the hiring manager that I would apply to, or can you introduce me to that person? Or even, I think from a networking perspective, one thing that I've found in a lot of the folks that I've talked to, let's just take an HR person specifically who was recently laid off with about 250 other people in her organization. What she did was she formed a networking group among those people. And that to me was just, again, a great indicator of how we're coming together as a collective. But forming that networking group with others who are in the same boat as you is only going to help. And I tell people this all the time, if you're looking for a job and you happen to know somebody else who's equally qualified for that job, introducing them to that does not necessarily reflect poorly. Well, it certainly is not going to reflect poorly on you, but it's not going to limit your chances of getting that job. Your chances of getting that job are still the same because there's going to be competition no matter. So by you introducing competition yourself really just makes you look a little bit better as a human being. And it also shows that you're trying to help out for the greater good. So that is also part of networking is helping yourself by helping others.
I love that you brought that up, because so many times when we think about networking, it's about me, me, me. Yeah. Who can help me? Who can I connect with? But why don't we flip that and do networking the reverse way? Who can I help? Who can I do an introduction to? Who can I bring into my network? Even online on LinkedIn, who can I bring into my network and maybe mentor them and help them and introduce them? So I love that, you position it differently. I hadn't really thought about that. I do that naturally, but I don't teach that to my clients. So I want to put that in my tool belt now.
Nice.
When you're networking, there's two sides of networking.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's just, again, I think it's part of what we're seeing today. It's really interesting. I look back to 9/11, and I was in this industry back in 9/11, and we all hung American flags on our cars. Right. I mean, you couldn't drive down the road without seeing every car with an American flag. Well, helping others right now is our American flag.
Oh, I love that. Helping others right now is our American flag. That's going to be a quote. We're turning that into a quote, Alan. I love it. Seriously, that's going to be one of the quotes that comes out of this. And I think the networking tip is amazing. We're going to make a quote out of that as well. So let's get to topic 2, because we could probably talk all day about networking. There's so many ins and outs, how to network online, how to network offline, effective networking. But let's talk right now about communicating. As a recruiter, I bet you see a lot of poor communication.
We do. We absolutely do. Yeah, it is
What
running
drives you?
rampant
What
right
drives
now.
you crazy?
I would say the thing that drives me crazy is, well, I would say the biggest thing is when people don't know that the error is glaring. If it's a glaring error to me and to other recruiters or other people reading the resume or reading the introduction letter or any sort of communication, when it seems to fall on deaf ears that this is a problem, that's not fun.
Oh,
Your
so like, do
communication
you
matters.
actually tell your job seeker like there's an error here? Or are you
Oh,
just saying,
absolutely.
and they don't accept that?
Exactly. They say, well, that's not a big deal, or it's not. It can't
They're
be
not
that
listening
important.
to the experts. They're not listening to the people that are trying to get them a job. That's the problem. Yeah.
That's the biggest issue for sure. Is just
Job seekers, if a recruiter or hiring manager, someone that you're working with, is saying, hey, this doesn't read right, you should probably rewrite that on your resume or your LinkedIn profile. Let's look at that. You need to listen to them because they're the people that are trying to help you get the job.
Right.
It shouldn't fall on deaf ears. You're not telling them that just to be difficult.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I'm not quietly judging their grammar or anything like that. That's not the point. The point is to help.
Right.
And, if I'm trying to help you by, rephrasing things or spelling a word correctly or whatever, don't take offense.
They should be saying, thank you. I didn't catch that. So I'm dyslexic. So gosh knows that you guys see my posts, and sometimes things are typos. A lot of times, because if I get up at 5:30 in the morning and I check all my platforms, and sometimes I'll reply in bed like this. I have monovision, so I have to do this with one eye. And I was like, I'll look at it later. I'm like, what the heck was I trying to type? So note to self, don't work on your job stuff when you're in bed with one eye, because it just doesn't work.
Right.
But you should, I'm very open when people say, hey, there was a typo. I'm like, hey, thanks for pointing that out. Let me go fix that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of like, I would say the broader issue is don't be offended.
Yeah.
There's no reason to be offended. It's almost like when you're asking somebody why there's a gap in their employment. And their immediate stance is, oh, well, people move around, and they do. And just explain to me why you did. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm not asking to be offensive. I'm asking to learn.
Good tip for our job seekers. Don't be offensive. That's not going to get you in the door. Like if you're on the phone with a recruiter, stage 1, right? You're doing a phone interview, or don't get offensive. Yeah, I really like that. I'm actually going to write that one down. Don't be offensive, because I think a lot of job seekers, they get offensive because it's their job search and they're in panic mode and their anxiety is high, right? So don't be offensive. Take it to heart. Make the changes. Be open to not necessarily criticism, but be open to listening to what the recruiters are trying to tell you that you need to fix or change.
Well, yeah, and in addition to just not having that defensive stance, I would say ask your friends to read things or review your resume. So reach out to anyone in your network who may be better at grammar, or maybe better at the written word than you are. Maybe you speak perfectly well, but the written word just doesn't flow easily for you. Ask for help.
Yes.
And, again, right now is a great time to ask for that because people are willing to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, now is the right time. So is there anything else with communicating effectively that we can share with the job seekers, like maybe in interviews, how to communicate effectively? Or
Sure. Yeah, I would say be more curious. So during interviews, I would say the biggest thing about people who are interviewing is they don't ask enough questions. You don't want to bombard people or be Columbo, though I'm dating myself there. But you want to ask really introspective questions. You want to have done your research on the company, on the person that's interviewing you, all of those sorts of things, so that you can ask questions that matter and ask questions to show interest. So when you don't ask questions, at the end of the interview, almost invariably at the end of an interview, the person who is interviewing will say, do you have any questions for me? And I would say a nail in your coffin is to say, no, I think you've already answered everything for me. That can't be the answer.
I agree
can't be the way to say it.
100%. I actually have my clients like write up 3 to 5 questions.
Yeah, always.
And right now we just created a document of, I think it's 6 or 7 questions to ask during COVID-19. So if you're getting interview right now, there definitely are some questions you should be asking. Like, how has this changed the culture in your organization? Has this changed your plans for the rest of 2020? Like, there's some really good questions that you should be asking if you're being interviewed during this pandemic, because you want to know what you're getting into. And you know, and I just feel like asking questions at the end of an interview, if you don't answer questions, that's awful. That's just showing you're not prepared, right?
And not interested. You know, I think that's the biggest thing it does, is it shows lack of interest. I mean, if you have no questions for me, then why are we here?
Yeah. It should be a two-way conversation in an interview.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. Anything else on communicating that you want to share with our audience?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Mary, that people are asking right now is, how do I communicate without being annoying? You know, how do I
that's a good one.
up? How do I, you know, try to stay close, but not irritate, not annoy, not seem too aggressive or too assertive. You know, if you sent a LinkedIn invitation, or you sent a great presentation piece, or you sent a resume even to a job posting, and you're trying to figure out, how long should I wait before I follow up? That really is something that's critical to people. You know, I would say you should not wait longer than 5 business days before you reach back out to somebody. And that communication needs to be well crafted as well. It can't be, you know, I submitted my resume on Wednesday and I haven't heard anything yet. You know, what's going on?
So how does someone follow up? Because I get that question a lot. And I like that you said follow up is 5 days. That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Unless they tell you something differently. Unless they say, we're interviewing, we plan on getting back to everyone within 2 weeks.
Right.
Don't follow up in 5 days if they tell you it's going to be 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. And then I advise people, fairly recently, I started doing this actually. You know, in sales, we do this all the time. And in a job search, you're really in sales. You're trying to sell yourself. So you can pull yourself out of the running. If you haven't heard anything at all, you know, I tell people you count wins differently when you're looking for a job. A win is not the offer. A win can be an interview. A win can be a response. A win can be a decline. You know,
because you heard back,
because you finally heard back, and you can finally take that company off your target list and say, you know, okay, they're not hiring me, so I can move on. That's a win, because now I can add 3 more companies to my target list and remove that one.
I like how you put that. That's going to be a quote too. We need to look at wins differently. A win does not mean that you got the job offer. A win could mean you've got the interview. That's a big win. A win could be that, you know, they responded to your follow-up email. Yeah. You got a response. Or a win can be a decline. That means that that's not the right job, and now you can focus on some other organizations. I love how you put that. I love that. A win is different. That's definitely going in the quote pile, Alan.
Cool.
You're giving me a lot of quotes today. This is great. So we've covered networking. We've covered communicating effectively. And now let's get into the fun part, for me at least, using LinkedIn and other tools. So can we start with the other tools before we go into the LinkedIn stuff?
Sure, absolutely. So everyone is out there looking for jobs. So anytime there's a posting or an opportunity on Indeed or on Monster or Career Builder or any of the sites that anyone would use to find a job, you're only looking for what you do. And what I would recommend is look for things that people who are around you also do. Because if they're hiring for a project manager, they may also be hiring for a business analyst or a technical writer. If they're hiring for a waiter, they may be hiring for a dishwasher or a busser or, you know, a hostess.
So look at the job. So like if your job is in the middle, you would make that a little spoke thing. And what are the other jobs that go around this one?
Exactly, because when they hire people, you know, for that specific role, their chances are pretty good they're going to be hiring for the role that you fill very soon as well.
I love that. That is a great tip. I never thought about that. So what are some other tools? Do we have other tools to go over, or did you need to or want to dive into LinkedIn, my favorite platform ever?
Let's get to your favorite platform. I mean, it's certainly, as we all know in the recruiting industry, it's the #1 way that people are finding opportunities and connecting with
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there.
Sure.
I want the audience to hear that again. It's the #1 way. LinkedIn is the #1 way that people are finding opportunities. And you use it to recruit, correct? You
Absolutely.
actively use LinkedIn. I tell my clients this all the time, but I love having other experts that are recruiters also come and tell the clients, like, hey, you need to be on LinkedIn. But tell us from a recruiting standpoint why you love it and what you're looking for when you go onto LinkedIn.
Sure. Well, I love it because everyone is accessible. I think the accessibility of people is huge. Whether you have a free version of LinkedIn or you pay money for LinkedIn, you're going to have access to more people than you do without it. And the cool thing about LinkedIn is that it's a universal platform, and people are no longer, I think when I first signed up for it forever ago, people were worried that if they update their LinkedIn profile, that their boss would think that means they're looking for a job. And that is no longer the case. So if you are currently looking for an opportunity, let's say you're currently employed and you're looking for an opportunity, by updating your LinkedIn profile, by being active on LinkedIn, connecting with people, commenting, posting, whatever you do, it's not going to indicate that you are looking for a new opportunity. It's only going to indicate that you are a user of the #1 platform.
Exactly.
For networking, period.
I get that too from my clients. I'm like, as long as you don't put right in your summary, like, hey, looking for a new opportunity, unless you are, then it's good to just put that in there. So it's very clear that you are looking for a new opportunity, but you're just updating your networking. You're building your network. And because everybody's doing it, it's not going to be like a red flag.
Right.
Plus, half the people that you work with and your boss probably aren't active on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, and to circle back around, Mary, not to get too woo, as your first guest said, in this series, but it's another way to help people. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for opportunities, if you're doing that as you described it, looking for that center role, or roles that are around the role that you're looking for, you can help others by using LinkedIn too. If you have a friend who's a payroll administrator and you're looking for an HR manager role, but you see a payroll administrator role posted, you can reach out to your friend and say, hey, I don't know if you saw this, but it was on LinkedIn and they're looking for a payroll administrator. I know you're looking for an HR manager role. I saw this HR manager role posted, and people can help each other and introduce them to opportunities that they may not otherwise have seen.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to respect our 30 minutes, but Alan, I'm sure that you and I are going to be collaborating and talking more and maybe doing some more live shows. And I just want to tell everyone real quick, I'm going to put some links in the comments. I have a special for anyone looking for a job right now. My job seeker course, we just revamped it. And instead of $697, we're making it $97 for the month of May to help everybody out there. And it's not just about revamping your LinkedIn. It's got career exercises. There's resume optimization, all kinds of great tools to help you set yourself up for a successful job search. So Alan, where do you want people to connect with you? On LinkedIn?
#1 on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm very easy to find. I am fairly vocal on LinkedIn. So if you look for Allen, ALLEN, Plunkett, PLUNKETT, you will definitely find me there. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. Phoenix Staff is on all. And then I run a podcast called Rewired Mind, and just having fun and trying to help as many as we can.
Fabulous. Well, Alan, thank you so much for joining us today. You guys, I'm Mary Fane Brandt with LinkedIn Bakery, serving up bite-sized tips so you don't get overwhelmed. Take care. Bye.